Good evening, or good evening, good day, and welcome to yet another Jeff Walker Books discussion. Today I'm going to talk about my whole process here about what I'm doing, writing and discussing some other topics like, I've jumped the gun and issued out a new title that's coming in 2022 called Send in the Dead. That'll be about a bunch of prisoners being sent to the front lines of intergalactic war. Kind of similar to Long Lost War, but not really. I mean, it's totally different. It's totally like the scum of the earth going to fight aliens, essentially. And they're going to learn out that there's something more going on. And I don't want to give away too much because I have just only started the first chapter. Which, if anybody wanted to ask me about it or see the chapter, that's fine. It's nothing grand yet, but for the most part, it's still going to be a long time before that book's out, so that's why I made it for 2022. So, as a writer, I know I'm not going to go on about how poor I am about that. I've already said that so many times. I'm even sick of hearing it. As a writer, my thought process is pretty much laid out. I know how things are supposed to be. I know each title, and once it's out of my head, it's out of my head and into the book. Do I go back to re-edit it or something? The only one I've ever done that to was Distant Saga Trilogy, which I went back and re-edited it as much as I could. I didn't have an editor to help me with that one, and maybe it shows. So, but I don't want to go back and edit it again. I've been back and forth on this whole issue about going back to the old books and re-editing them. I see no point. They're done. They're out there. They are what they are. Maybe that'll change when and if I get an agent. Pardon me. But I'm agentless right now. I don't have an agent. And I don't have an editor. For now, anyway. The one editor I did have for the world of Professor Dark and His Shadow, she was very helpful. And she was a fan, so she helped. And I gave her credit in the book. It seemed like the right thing to do is give her some acknowledgement that she helped in the process significantly. I think she helped kind of tighten the characters a bit more, giving them some definition. But as a writer, I have to. It's hard for me because I'm always thinking of stories. And it's hard for me to stay focused on one story for too long unless I can finish that book all the way through. Excuse me again. My throat is just not clearing out right now. But yeah, the books I concentrated on was The Long Lost War. I pretty much focused on that, like, straight on. And the results are amazing because that's my most successful book. Oddly enough, a novella, not very long. Then I had Your Services Required. I chipped away at that big time because I wanted to get that book out there. The book is set in like some distant future where the two AI, Malcolm and Angela, have taken over Earth, reduced to humans to almost nothing, and they're pretty much just trying to keep them as servants for them and the robots. But one guy just seems to think he just wants to live his life, but another guy comes in and sort of stirs it all up, and there's a love that he's looking at from afar, and he eventually winds up with her. And the story just is about our humanity and what makes us human. Do we just look away, or do we get involved? So those two books I was really focused on. The World of Professor Darkham's Shadow. Those short stories were like a love of labor for me, and they're all collected into one book now, Book Zero. And I kind of tied it into like my other novel that's supposed to be coming. And now I've gotten a little sidetracked with the novel, the book one. I've gotten a little sidetracked with that one, mainly because I don't know. I was concentrating on it for a while, and I think during the pandemic, I really had a lot of focus. That time that we had off for a good chunk, I really just hankered down and started writing chapters. Again, sorry about that. But yeah, I really did. I really hunkered down and did a lot of chapters for that. So that's why I say when I'm not done. I've only done about 50% of the book. I'm trying to get back onto things. I'm trying to get back onto doing the books I set out to do. And it's hard because sometimes I'll have new stories jumping in my head and I feel obligated to get them going. But I might just like write in a chapter or two, get that story going, and I'll come back to it later. But there's no worry about whether or not I'll lose the idea of what the story was. Never. As soon as I see the chapter, I'll know. And that's how I work. My brain isn't like everybody else's. I have stories in my head like movies or TV. I really can just stop, rewind, go back. I could change things if I wanted to. Sometimes what I write doesn't always come out as I wanted. But then that's how it is. Even when I was trying to draw my own comic books, the vision I had in my head wasn't exactly how it was going on the page. And sometimes you just have to accept that, because sometimes it works better in your mind than it does on the page. And writers just have to learn to accept that too. Now, I know that a lot of writers are trying to take courses. They've got like PhDs in English and all that, and and not everybody can be like that. So I hope it's not looked down on when I'm starting to write. I mean, I know I don't have a huge degree in writing, but I have read a lot of books, and I do know what I want visually, how the book to be. I don't get into the whole... well, I've seen a lot of writing that focuses too much on introspective, and they get in too deep, and then you're lost because there's just so much mindless garbage that's in there. And of course, I call it fluff. When you put in something that doesn't belong in the book, it's fluff just to stretch out the novel. And to me, that's like, well, I'd rather get into the story than get into the side aspects. If I wanted the side aspects, you can write another book about that. It's just doesn't seem like it's necessary in some of the stories that they stretch out novels, or stretch out the chapters by shoving all that in. A good example are the Star Wars novels. A good hunk of the Star Wars novels, they get into like skewed thought processes, and you're sitting there going, okay, but get back to the story. Why does it have to go off on like one whole chapter about nothing? And I think that's where they fail. For me, anyway. I know there's a lot of people out there who love that kind of stuff, but I don't. I want to get into the action. If it's a Star Wars novel, make it a Star Wars novel. Make it fun. Make it super fast. Make it about action. That's what the Star Wars universe is supposed to be. It's supposed to be involved. It's supposed to have characters that you can enjoy without having to get into like... well, I don't want to say not to get any depth. I mean, you could make side novels about one character and get into that. But at the same time, it's like you know what kind of audience you're gunning for. So write like that. That's why I write books the way I want. I want to read a book the way it's supposed to be. And that's like Deep Contact, The Massive Planet. I started that one as an adventure. I started it right away into the adventure, which some people might go, well, why don't you do like the beginning? And I'm like going, some people like to jump right in and then backtrack. And I think that's what makes it work. I think when you jump into a story, get into the heart of the action, you will grab the reader's attention. And then you can backtrack and say, this is what happened when. Case in point, Babylon 5. Babylon 5 was fantastic. You know why? Because they jumped right into the heart of the story. They're at the frontier of the galaxy. They're just, doing what they do. But they didn't get into the whole background of where that all began until much later into the series, which gave you bits of their history and stuff like that. To me, that's great. That's great writing. Because then the person watching the show or reading the book gets involved. And then they start getting, oh, okay. And then they want to read more or watch more. So to me, that makes more sense than just outright giving it all away and leaving nothing for the future books. Because then it's just like, well, why am I reading this if it's going to give me all the answers right away? People get bored right away and leave the book. Some people are loyal like that, which is great. But I think the way I write for action. I want this story to hit right away. Like the Long Lost War, I didn't punch any bones about it. I went right into the story action. I didn't give any history of the characters or anything like that. But I am working on a prequel book for that one, The Long Lost War. Yeah. Hopefully, those who have enjoyed the story will look forward to when if I release that prequel book. And I will try to get that done as well. I've got so many books on my plate. It's amazing. I try to get them out as fast as I can. The more books I put out, the more I'll get noticed, I think. Deep Contact was my latest one. And then I'm also trying to finish my Outer Red series. Now, Outer Red was my first series I was writing about this Commander Red. She is a spin on Little Red Riding Hood. And it's set in a universe where it's not going to be... I want to say it's more of a sci-fi. It is a sci-fi fantasy. It'll be more humanoid than, I tried to make it as much as I could as a sci-fi fantasy. And the first book got really good reviews. Second one, I don't think anyone paid attention to it. But, it's more involved in the second book, and I'd really encourage you to read the second book. And then the third book I released not too long ago, picking up where I left off from the second. And I remember a reviewer giving me some criticism about saying, well, this seems like we're jumping into the middle of a novel. Well, you kind of are. And if you didn't read the first one, why are you reading the second one? Knowing full well what I stated in the description, this is the continuing part of a series, which baffles me to no end. People seem to think that you can jump right into a second novel. I don't know. I tried to put in a prologue, and then I was reading an article that's saying that most readers don't like prologues. I'm like, it gets a bit frustrating. So I combined 1 and 2 into a full book, so that at least there's something tangible there. They can get that on paperback or ebook. The 2 I made into audios, so 1 and 2, they're available on Audible. and the lady that read it did a great job. And she was an actress, and it was and it was a fun book. She did the best she could. I know some people don't like the way the computer speaks. Her little companion Grimm, he's the way she did it. It made it sound more like Siri in a way. But whatever. I don't know if I'll make an audio of the third one, judging on the low response to the second one. That's why I said I can't keep funding these things if people don't find any interest in it. Eventually, if it does find an audience, I'll go back and make audibles of it. I need to have more encouragement to do that. So if you're looking for the next installment, tell me. Let me know. I need to know these things, because as an author, if I don't get the feedback, I won't focus on it. Which is probably what happened when I haven't finished the last book, the last part, the Outer Red Part 4, at the Well's End. I'm working on it now. I'm going to work on it now, and I'm going to get that series out of the way. And when it's done, it's done. If anybody wants like a second book series of that, they can let me know after the end of this book. So if you're looking forward to the conclusion of Outer Red Book 1, which is what all these parts are from, it's coming. Don't think I forgot it, because I didn't. And I might later on combine 3 and 4 into another novel. So it'll be like a novel of part 1 and part 2, and then a novel of part 3 and 4. But for now, I'll keep them separate. Somebody said, well, why don't you combine them all into one book? And I'm like, that's down the road. I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to maximize the storytelling, monetize it. Because, writer needs money in order to keep maintaining. I wish we didn't have to need money, but we do. And I'd love to have fan support. If you're a fan of my books, if you've read any of them, let me know. Write in. Go on my webpage, jeffwalkerbooks.weebly.com, and leave me a message on the contact board. I thought about putting up a messaging system, but I think it's like extra or something to put on that one. I'd like to. I might even make a separate page on my Facebook for fans or for anybody to ask questions. I did a long time ago, and I got like zip. So I shut it down. And then, so I thought maybe I should be more specific on what it is on my Facebook group page, which is fine. And maybe I need to advertise that too. In any case, I need the reviews in order for me to feel like this is working, that I'm getting some response. And I hate begging. I know it sounds like begging. Please, fans. No, I am. I think writers need the feedback. And that's very important to a writer, is feedback. We can keep writing without the feedback, but if we want to know and engage the readers, we need to know how they felt about the book, I've gotten a lot of response for Long Lost War, some for The Mysterious World of Professor Darkham's Shadow, and I had a great review for the Massive Planet. I had like a full star review from this reviewer on Amazon who gave it full stars. She thought it was a great book. She loved the characterizations. And I sat there and I went, well, that's exactly what I was looking for. I want people to respond back and let me know, good or bad. I've had bad ones on there where they told me what was wrong with it, and I was like, okay, cool. I'll make sure will I respond to you? I did at the beginning when I first started getting reviews. I started reviewing back, and I read an article about why you shouldn't, and it made some sense. If I don't respond to you after you leave a review, I mean, most reviewers don't like to be, contacted because they feel that's breaking the cycle of anonymity, I guess. I don't know. I should put in some more reviews, I guess, in my books when they're in there. But I enjoy writing. I really do. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing, writing. I was trying to, I'm not good for public speaking. Somebody said you're going to have to learn how to read your books aloud. I'm going, yeah, but not right now because of the pandemic and everything. And plus, I can't get myself into stores anywhere where I live. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of places I can go. The library, but I mean, I live in a small town, so there's not too many people there. I don't have an agent, so I wouldn't know how to book these things. I'm still learning. It's been a long learning process. Self-publishing has been a long process for me. From learning how to format to self-editing to doing your covers to, I've done it all. All of this is me. Every single bit of it. It's all me. That's why it's so important that I try to convey to my readers that this is everything I'm pouring in is myself. The stories, the writing, the editing, the covers, the printing, everything that I can basically do myself. I can't give away stuff other than ebooks at the time because that's all I can afford. And people have commented about why can't you just hand copies out? And it's well, because that costs money, and I don't have a publisher per se. I'm my own publisher. I see all the Tor books out there just kicking ass, and the Orbital publisher too, and just shoving out books like nobody's business. The girl that wrote the Behind Blue Eyes, she's just everywhere. I praise her marketing skills, to be honest with you. She's really out there. That and that other, Wells lady who writes all those Murderbot books. She has some awesome marketing. But I don't. I'm me. I'm a self-published person. I'm doing all this. Nobody else. So I'm trying my best. I've gotten a few out there, and I thank you all for those who have been reading my books or, at least dropping a comment or reviewing, like Red Star Reviews. I shout out to them because he was a good guy, and he gave me his honest opinion. And to all those, that gave their opinion about the book, I thank you. And I hope you keep coming back to read more of my stuff and give more reviews. I feel like it's hard for self-publishers to get noticed because the independent publishers, too, they kind of shove the self-published people away by kind of drowning them out. And it's not fair. And it's, I think that Amazon's starting to make it hard for that, too, slightly. But not really. I mean, they've been very good for self-publishing, so I doubt they'd want to kill that market. But I feel like as a self-publisher, it's getting harder to get the voice out there. If it was like 5 years ago, it was much easier. But now I think the companies, these bigger companies, are starting to try to fight back and try to push out the books, trying to get these. There's more. I guess I hate to say it, but diverse books that are being shoved out, and they're getting more noticed than say some of the self-published non-niche titles, science fiction, fantasy especially. We were in the big one like 5 years ago, and now it's getting pushed aside for like manga and anything that's geared for other kinds of genre, I guess. I don't know. But I hope sci-fi fantasy never really goes away. I mean, so that's where I'm at. And this was just a little discussion, this a little heart-to-heart about where I'm at. I hate dragging up stupid things that bother me, but I'm going to go back to writing. So I'll just try to keep pushing out my books, trying to bring you some entertaining stories. I've had short stories. The Immortality Complex is out right now, and I it's a short story. It's like $2, and I have other short stories that are out there as well on Amazon.com. And I just encourage everybody to go and support self-published authors. We do our best with what we've got. And we need the love back sometimes. Yeah, that's just, how we are. Writers need to know that they're being appreciated. Or read. That too. So, without sounding groveling or anything like that, I'm just going to say support self-publishers like myself. Feed back to us in any shape, form. We won't judge you at anything that you put out there. And let's help each other out. Reviewers, book writers. We need to support each other in these times. And that's it for today. It was just a quick discussion. And I'll try to be more focused on a topic that, that won't devolve this kind of thing again. I don't want to keep bringing it up. And I'll just focus on the next title. How about that? All right. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.